Hey guys, it's Quickie Baby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and this is my christening in the first Tier 8 British premium tank in the game. I finally completed my FV4-202P mission marathon. I got 450,000 damage in 10 days. I played my Centurion Action 10 getting 750 base experience on each of those 10 days, and then I was rewarded with this vehicle in my garage for free. Yay! Great news. Of course, I have already done a full review on this tank a couple of weeks ago, so if you haven't seen that, you will be quite shocked to see the top speed limit of this tank. It is the slowest high-tier medium tank in the game. 35 kilometers an hour top speed limit, which means trying to reach the ridge line on Siegfried Line Assault when you're defending takes bloomin' ages, 50 seconds to get up onto this ridge line. And that's more than enough time for a fast Soviet medium tank such as the Object 416 to make a very aggressive play into this basin. One thing also that I'm about to see in this tank that you should certainly watch out for is that the gun depression over the back of the tank certainly isn't great. And so trying to put in side shots here, you're going to notice that the gun depression watches it bips up here, and I can't quite shoot the Object 416, so I had to turn my tracks to the side. There's another thing this tank doesn't do very well, and that is aim quickly. It's got one of the longest aim times on any medium tank, pretty much that isn't certain German tanks. 2.6 seconds aim time with 0.35 accuracy, which means that you really, it just looks like a pineapple or a melon in the middle of the screen, that aiming reticle. But thankfully at the couple of 100 meters that we're engaging this Tiger, not too much of an issue, or well, we kind of dip that shot right into the ridge. If he's aiming at me and I'm in a medium tank, I'm so used to going forwards, pulling off a snapshot and pulling back in my other mediums that it does feel a little awkward just sitting there and almost allowing them to shoot you in the FV4-202, but that's kind of what you've got to do. The frontal armor on the tank, 50 millimeters, but the turret armor is much, much better. But it's so well angled that you can actually take kind of a beating as long as you're using the 10 degrees of gun depression this tank has. And we're certainly using quite a lot of it here on this slope. And we're ripping apart this Tier 7 British medium tank, one of my favorites in the game, the Comet. We've also using a commander perk which allows us to see what modules are damaged, and that's because I finally got a 5-skill crew in my Comet. Wow, snuck the shot round the corner there, taking him out. I do like the Eagle Eye in the Comet because you seem to do so much module damage by shooting them so often. And it can be very useful to know if somebody's maybe got a dead gunner or if their ammo rack's taken out, because you can adjust your play. So far so good in this tank. We've managed to pick up 3 kills and also secure 2,351 damage. Well, make that 4 kills as we take out the M44 on the enemy team. I have to admit though, this matchup is rather nice, but there is a scary platoon of IS-3s on the enemy team who seem to be ripping through the southern flank. I'm undoubtedly going to have to deal with them later if I want to win this. Now I see there's an IS who's going after a KV-85. Now fair enough, my alpha damage might not be fantastic in this tank, 230, but my rate of fire with 7.5 rounds a minute, while also isn't amazing for a medium tank, we can put multiple shots into this Soviet heavy for every time he shoots us, and that's something that you have to do in your medium tanks. I took 396 damage from that IS, but we managed to secure 880 into him, taking him out the game. Fire one clutch through that pillar into the T-29, and hopefully we can make it around the corner. Oh, a little bit extra damage against him. 56 means that we're very likely to be able to take him out with a single shot, and indeed we do. That's our Top Gun, 3,437 damage now. There's a Hellcat on my right, and I want to try and hunt him down. But boy, this tank just doesn't really hunt anything down quickly, does it, guys? 35 kilometers an hour. Absolutely awful top speed limit. Thankfully on Siegfried Line, it feels like a map which is, all of the action kind of takes place in quite a small area. And so the top speed limit on this tank doesn't seem to be so hampering on the performance of the vehicle. So right now, my team are neck and neck, both team having secured 10 kills. But I feel like they're in a better position, and I'm not sure how long that FV304 is going to last. I get spotted, I aim at the OI on my right, unable to get him, and I stupidly allow an IS-3 to pass there for free. That was a terrible misplay. Bad awareness. I really thought that my next shot would be on the OI and not on that IS-3. But fortunately, we've caught the T-25-2 out of position, put one into his back, taking his tracks off, allowing the Jagdpanther 2 to shut him down. Now I want to hunt down this IS-3. One thing that's very important when you're a top tier tank is that you try and assist your allies, especially in your mediums. When your tank has 50 millimeters of frontal hull armor, you've got to try and either use it as effectively as you can by side scraping, or alternatively, wait until the enemies take a punt at your allies or you know that they're reloading. This tank's speciality is its 226 millimeters of penetration, but even that's not enough to go through the side of an IS-3 hull there. But really, this is one of the few medium tanks that I probably wouldn't even think about loading APCR to try and go through the front of the IS-3 here. So reliable, 226 millimeters of penetration, easily able to go through the weak part of the IS-3's armor. When he's angled at 45 degrees, that upper plate is the weak point. We were in a 1 versus 3 situation there, but we shut down the IS-3, securing our 7th kill, but now we have to deal with 2 Tier 6 heavy tanks, a Churchill 7 and an OI on the enemy team who are inside the cap circle. I come round trying to look for the shot. There's the Churchill. Doesn't quite manage to penetrate his tank and take his tracks off, but we see that he uses his repair kit. Can't quite find the upper plate there, and now I'm starting to get a little nervous as to where that fat Japanese sumo tank is on the enemy team. If that OI is using that 150mm gun, which he's quite likely to be doing so, if he hits me in the back or even in the side, possibly even the front of this tank, he might be able to penetrate me. But he enters the cap circle, so now we know exactly where the enemy heavy tanks are, and we can start to try and hunt them. I'm going to try and get a shot as I veer across here. There they are! But 2.6 seconds of aim time and not very good on-the-move dispersion values means that we're unable to hit even the side of an OI at about 100 meters there. Now we're trying to challenge the front of the Churchill. Put a shot into the side, but it dips a little low and I believe goes underneath the hull of the tank. Disappointing there. The second one, we put into his lower plate, and now he's firing APCR ammunition at us, so I'm trying to side scrape, but I'm over-angling my side armor a little bit. But luckily we're out-trading him here, as we put another round for 231 damage into him. Can we finish him off? Yes, we can. Great result. He only managed to penetrate us twice with those APCR rounds, with some good use of our tracks to supplement our fairly weak side armor in this tank. So now we're 8 kills, 5,000 damage, and there's an OI between us and a fantastic victory. He's got 32 seconds left to cap, and there's 2 minutes and 25 seconds left on this game, so I need to interrupt this. We come around the corner, and oh, absolute disaster. We bounce off his lower plate, and he puts a big round into the side of our tracks. Luckily, the second one does damage to him, interrupting the cap circle and lowering him down to 33% hit points, 314 health left on that OI. We're still going to have to shoot him 2 more times. And if he rolls just like that again, it's quite likely that he might be able to take our vehicle down. I was a bit flustered here. What I was thinking is that I wanted to try and get up on the ridge line to be able to get some shots across at him. But then he leaves the cap circle just as I'm making a move, showing that he wants to come and fight me. Luckily, that second round goes into his vehicle, now reducing him to a one-shot, and I might be a one-shot or I might not. It's all in the hands of the RNG gods. Now, I've never used this position before. This is very awkward, and I didn't really appreciate how good the camera rating was from the tree here. I'm not actually in the tree. The tree is not transparent, which means that I couldn't see around the corner. Oh, we bounce even our APCR round. We've run out of AP rounds. We've had to be carrying so hard. 258 millimeters of nope hitting the, I think, the front or the side of that OI there. Oh, absolute disaster. He fires one of his derpy 150 millimeter shells into us and takes us down to a whisker of our health, and then pulls back round the corner, and we didn't even spot him. Absolute disaster there. Those spotting mechanics on that tree not working in our favor. However, as we are defending the cap, he realizes that he needs to come out and attack us. He can't cap to win now. He is not an idiot, so he's going to come and try and hunt us down. However, I'm using the slow top speed limit of the FE4202 to try and hunt him down. Unfortunately for me, we're within the 50 meters proxy spotting distance. We come around the side and we bounce another round off the side of the tank. This aim time just not doing this vehicle justice. You really do have to aim your shots with the 2.6 seconds of aim time this tank has. I'm so worried about him splashing me now. I just don't want him to come around the corner too aggressively. Yes! Find the corner of his tank. 9 kills, 5,659 damage. Coming through an absolute clutch situation. Very happy that we took that one down in our first ever game in the FV4202 on my account. Now, the more you play World of Tanks, the more you get used to these kind of stressful situations, but even I will be the first to admit that my heart was racing, and I did make one categorical misplay at the end of this game. And that was, in all honesty, I completely forgot the game mode that I was playing. This was Assault. I was defending. There was no need for me to kill the OI at the end. I frankly should have just kited him round and round this building. There was no chance he could be able to catch me unless he got an ambush, and I would have won anyway without actually needing to finish him off. And so that was undoubtedly a poor decision by me at the end of this game to risk enabling the OI to win when I simply could have avoided him. But all's well that ends well, and this was a very good result, as we're going to see in the post-game stats. Holy mother of credits, that's 156,000, even when we take away the pudding, the premium consumable that we used, and the fact that we ran out of standard ammunition having to carry so hard and use those premium rounds, we still make 80,000 credits profit. And this was a whopping 1,931 base experience points. One of, but not the biggest round that I've had in World of Tanks. Nevertheless, I was super stoked about this to get an ace tanker in this vehicle in the first game, a Radley Walters medal for our 9 kills, a high caliber for the 5,659 damage that we did, a steel wall as well, and a defender medal for defending the cap circle against those tier 6 heavies. 100 base defense points, and we even managed to block 1,485 damage with our armor here, taking 14 hits this game, and only 5 of those penetrated our tank. So has this game changed my opinion on the FV4202P? Well, no, I still think it's statistically the weakest tier 8 premium medium tank in the game at the moment, and that all this proves is that even a broken clock is right twice a day. But there is some good news for this tank on the horizon. 10 days ago, Wargaming RU announced that its statistics will be improved in patch 9.14, and a lot of people have been theorizing how much they will be improved. Now first, let me add the caveat that this is nothing official, and my guess is as good as yours. I'm just estimating it based on how I think the FV4202P should have really come into the game. And I think it's quite likely that we're going to see the aim time reduced to 2.3 seconds. I truly hope that is the case. We saw that even at about 100 to 200 meters, during this fighting on Siegfried line, that the aim time just never really got as good as tanks such as the Mutz, which came out recently. I also think that there's a possibility that the top speed limit might change from 35 to 40 kilometers an hour. Or alternatively, if Wargaming do neither of these two things, then we're going to have to see a rate of fire buff or possibly even a hull armor buff, even though the hull armor is already really good considering it has many auto bounce angles if you angle the tank well. But alas, my guess is as good as yours. Let me know what you think will happen to the FV4202P in patch 9.14. And so hopefully you guys enjoyed this replay. If you did, please consider giving this video a like down below. It really helps the channel out. And if this video has sparked your interest in the FV4202P, then simply click through up here or use that more info icon in the top right hand corner of your screen to see a full review on the first ever tier 8 British premium tank. And finally, I wish all of you who are trying to finish your grind the best of luck in the upcoming days. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.